What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Chris, 3 years running bestseller at ShineOn. Now I'm the CMO of ShineOn. I wanted to thank you so much for checking out our YouTube video. And if you like this kind of content, I want you to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I hope you enjoy the video. What's up?
How's it going?
I blow anybody's eardrums today?
Wow.
What's
We
up,
have to
homies?
issue a new greeting, or do you do this every single time?
I might do it every single time.
So now we can actually do the back and forth of it because you have multiple people.
You guys have all the fun in the world. On
You
that
guys
one.
should
I'll
have.
let
You
that
guys should
one
have
off.
joined me. You knew I was doing it.
I can't.
How's everybody
I'm not
doing?
1998 anymore.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, but it lives in infamy.
Yes.
How's everybody doing? Good?
Good, man.
We were just talking before the break here. How's everybody out in Facebook land? Good?
They're all on
Got
fire.
some penguins? Got some really cool stuff today. Let me get some of this screen sharing going on. Hang on. I'm going to have to jump screens here a few times today, so you're going to have to deal with me. I'm going to need some patience. All right. So first, got my silly face here. Today, we're going to be doing product teardowns. So everybody submitted some products earlier this week, and we've got them kind of all assembled. We're going to try something a little bit different. I've got them on a Miro board, and we're all going to draw on your products during the teardown. So we're going to see how that goes. It's our first time at it, so that is going to be fun. But Kirsta, Jim, and Zappy are joining me today. So appreciate you guys for coming around. If you guys appreciate Kirsta, Jim, and Zappy joining, I want you to like this post, give them some love, like the post, heart the post, whatever Facebook will let you do to this post. Do it as long as it's appropriate. And then drop some comments. I want to know where you guys are watching from today. So we've had a lot of talk about expanding into Europe, and I'd just like to see where our people are at. Do we have a lot of folks from Europe kind of tuning in? That was part of the goal of moving Coffee with Michael a little bit earlier in the day, was to open it up to some wider audiences here. We got St. Louis. That's not quite Europe. Unless it's like the old St. Louis, maybe. Sorry, Jim. You're
I like it when my face gets covered. It makes the screen.
Yeah, your
prettier.
face is just getting covered. Connecticut.
I can do all
Chicago,
kinds of weird stuff behind here.
Jakarta, Indonesia. What's up, Jakarta? Norway. Right here. Tomas. I hope I said that right. It looked like I said that right. You got Facebook user in the UK. Facebook user is all over the place. Tokyo. Man, this might be the first time we've had anybody from no, that's not true. Chris Blair has been a longtime fan. I know.
That's right.
Czech Republic. Morocco.
Jim's going to be pulling the.
Is there another? I don't think there's another way for me to hang on. That didn't work. Yep, this is what you got.
Hold on.
UK,
Boom.
Bangladesh, Rhode Island, Colombia. What is that? Is this
Zimbabwe.
Is it Zimbabwe?
Yeah. Harare.
Oh, nice. Zimbabwe. Welcome. Welcome all around the world here. I keep saying that the only continent we're missing here is Antarctica. And Mauricio, coincidentally, volunteered to go down there. So, Eric, I don't know if you're watching this, but if we want to do like a ShineOn sponsored trip for Mauricio to make it down to Antarctica so we can complete the global circuit here, I'm sure he'd take you up on it. India. All right, everybody. Appreciate everybody for joining today. Thank you so much. Looks like we do have a lot of folks coming in from Europe. So we're excited about that. We're excited to get the new factory open. That is coming soon. You may, if you're paying attention, you may see orders actually start to ship from Amsterdam sometime this month. After we kind of work out some kinks, we're going to announce it officially. But if you're observant, you might see your European orders shipping out of Amsterdam. So that would be sweet. Yes, Mauricio says he's totally ready for Antarctica.
There are aliens in Antarctica?
I'd be careful volunteering that. You never really know if we're going to take you up on it or not. We would get a lot of press if we did something like that. So, it's good for the company, and we're a bunch of marketers over here. So watch out, buddy.
Never know.
All right, let's get into some testimonials, and then we'll move to the teardowns. So last week's recap. So Nabir, apologize if I didn't say that right. First month in sales, $317 in revenue, 8 orders. Congratulations, buddy. That came through Etsy. So it always feels good to get your first orders. It's really cool when they're on Etsy or an organic platform where you're not really paying any money to drive those. So congratulations. Did we forget the toast? Oh my gosh. It felt like something was missing here. All right. Your CPMs would have sucked next week if we had forgotten this toast.
You're just so excited
no
to share
sales for anybody.
Share the wins for the week.
Everybody would have had a horrible weekend. There would have been natural disasters, chaos. Economies would have collapsed.
Wait, more so than normal?
What? Why didn't you guys speak up and tell me?
I thought you were doing it after the testimonials.
Yeah, I sort of was thinking that too.
Yeah, they said we didn't forget the toast. Yeah, of course not. All right, everybody.
Maybe Facebook will go down again next week because you forgot the toast.
Yeah, that could actually happen. All right, the thing that makes everything better, that's going to kick off your weekend the right way, that's going to lower your CPMs definitely next week, the Digital Marketer's Toast. Raise up your glasses, mugs, bottles, and flasks, and join me now. Here's to more conversions, more cash, cheap CPMs, and lower CACs, higher CTRs, much higher CVRs to enable ad accounts and big bank accounts, upsells, downsells, and cross-sells, to winning products and repeat sales, and to the thing that everybody knows, the riches are in the niches, but also your email flows. Cheers, everybody. Drink up.
Cheers.
There we go.
Yeah.
Crisis averted. There was a meteor inbound from the outside of the solar system, and it just got caught in another planet's gravity because we did the toast. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
Mind blown.
All right, let's get back to it. So congratulations, Nabir. You got some swag coming, buddy. Good effort. Love to see you set up that Etsy store. That'll blow up as we get closer to Christmas, and more buyers are heading to those platforms to pick up their gifts. Ed here, just got my first double order. Both added personalization. Order came from Etsy. Welcome to Q4. Congratulations, buddy. So 2 orders and a single conversion event is what that sounds like. $51 in profit. Congratulations. Thanks so much for sharing. You got some swag coming your way. Next, we got Darren Kirk. Wow, got my first sale yesterday, only after 3 days of advertising. $49 in revenue, $33 in profit. I'm sure that this person was probably using tips and tricks they either picked up here or from the Shots of Espresso or from Kirsta's value post. So congratulations, buddy. Thanks so much for sharing. Love to see that. Jeff here. Woo. Well, not technically my first sale, but this is the first on this shop. Definitely helps with the drive. Thank you, Michael and Kirsta, for the motivation. Hoping to wake up to my second, third, and fourth. Let's do this. $69.95 total revenue. It's a pretty good average order value. Congratulations, Jeff. Also, it looks like the platform. Love to see our sellers on the platform as well. I got some big news about the platform in a minute too. It's going to be pretty cool. And then MD Nazrul Islam. He was featured, I think, last week because he made a big testimonial post on some sales that he got. This week, he said he finally hit 1,000 units. Look at that. 1,000 units here. Congratulations, buddy. $72,000 in revenue. Somebody is going to be having a pretty massive Q4, I have a feeling. So keep it up. Keep experimenting. Don't get tunnel vision when you get a winner. You got to keep those tests alive because you never know when that winner is going to die out. But congratulations, buddy. You've got some swag coming your way as well. All right, so to get free swag, we do this every single week. We randomly draw 2 to 5 posts from the group to give some swag. For a chance to get yours, simply post one of the following: a testimonial with screenshots. We love those. Some kind of value post on what's working for you, especially if you're scaling, and then tips, tricks, or hacks that are going to help other people succeed, whether that's with a message card, graphic design, shooting UGC, anything like that. We love to see that stuff, so share away. All right, let's get into the latest news. And then then we will do our product teardowns. All right, the 100 update. So this challenge so far has resulted in something like, I think we're getting close to 3,000 total orders from the group that's in the challenge. It's been a great opportunity for there to be like increased accountability. People are sharing with each other tips and tricks. People are starting to like form little buddy systems around it. Like, it's been pretty freaking cool what has resulted in it. We've built a leaderboard here, and it's kind of based on a combination of sales and SKUs. This is our first go at this, so next year we may weight these a little differently. You can see here, Farhat Banu, hope I said your name right, 382 sales here. Congratulations, buddy. He's in second place in the overall challenge. Coulson shop here is in first place, primarily because of the number of SKUs. We try to translate all that stuff into points, and this is just kind of how it's shaken out. But anyway, congratulations to everybody that's participating in the challenge and taking action. Even if you're somebody that's only got a handful of SKUs up, congratulations. Keep those designs getting out there. Keep putting them on Etsy. Keep testing on Facebook. The only way you're going to go anywhere is if you start taking some action. So that was the whole purpose of this challenge. 100 designs over 100 days with the hope of hitting $100,000 in revenue. So keep it up. All right, Shots of Espresso. Jim launched his Shot of Espresso, I think it was yesterday. It was either Wednesday or yesterday on the farming method. It's kind of a new. Jim, do you want to give us a 30-second kind of high-level overview of the farming method here?
It's just an alternative method to like constantly testing a whole bunch of new phrases and trying to use one audience to get a phrase to work, and turns it on the head and says, let's take one really well-developed phrase, one really well-developed design, and put it against a whole bunch of different audiences and see if we can get an audience to market fit that way.
So it's more about testing tons of audiences as opposed to testing tons of designs.
Yes, but after you do an awful lot of effort on creating a good phrase, a good design, a good funnel, all of that stuff. So it's more like a traditional business marketing style thing where print on demand, we're so lucky because we get to create so many different products, right? Like you could have one template and then a whole bunch of phrases, and all of a sudden you've got 2,000 SKUs. Now, what I'm saying here is, focus your effort on creating the very best that you can do and test that against a whole bunch of different audiences.
Yeah, totally. I think that makes a ton of sense. So if you're looking for this, go into the Facebook group, either search for Jim's name, search for Shot of Espresso, search for farming method, something like that, and you'll be able to download it here. We are working on like kind of capturing all these into a central repository so you can kind of go through and just get them right out of the repository. For now, you kind of got to find them in the group. So just go to the group, search for this. You'll be able to find it. I also got a tip. If you just track with me here for a few more minutes, I got a tip that's going to help you find this post pretty easily. All right, next up, the Etsy integration is coming this month. We beta tested the crap out of this. We had some extra features that we kind of needed to build at the very last minute here. The dev team has been working on that. This should launch this month. So we're super excited about this. I know there are a ton of people in the audience waiting for it. So you should get excited. Be excited. It's right around the corner. Next, we have built and complete an advanced rendering engine. All right. So I don't have a image yet to show you that's come through the advanced rendering system. That should come sometime next week. However, our renders were already amazing. They were already amazing, and they basically set the standard in the print-on-demand space. And there are some people, some competitors, some other folks in the jewelry niche specifically that aren't so far away from where we're at, and all their sellers rip off our renders because they're so good. And I'm not going to name any names, but everybody knows who they are. They rip off all of our renders because our renders kick ace, right? Well, the advanced rendering system basically takes it to the next level. So if these are like, and this is an analogy, right? If these are 1080p renders, the new ones are going to be 4K, right? It allows for a lot more advanced like shadowing and things like that in the renders. And it's also going to make UGC style renders, which is a whole new category that we're going to try to bring to you this Q4. It's going to allow them to be much more dynamic and rich. It's a little tough to explain without actually seeing it in action, but that's right around the corner. So we've been pretty excited about this as well. Our renders are about to go another level up. I know most of you didn't even think that could happen, but it's going to happen. Mind blown, I know. All right, product launch update. All of these we're still hoping to bring in October. So we've got metal art. We've got the wooden watches that are going to be engravable on the back. We have leather. We got some really good leather samples that came in this morning. They look freaking amazing. I've seen some pictures of them. They look really good. We've got the engrave-only jewelry items, and we've got some journals. All these should be coming, hopefully, this month. We've got machines showing up. We've got raw materials showing up. We're getting processes worked out, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. This is going to make for a massive Q4. All right. Forgive the kind of low-quality screenshot here, but I had to share this with you. We've built a new on-page add-ons system. I was so excited when I saw this in the meeting. I literally spun around in my chair. I did like a little dance for everybody because I was so excited. I've been wanting this feature for ages. So what this is going to allow you to do is we're basically going to be able to bring you over time 5, 10, maybe even 15 upsells over time, right? And you're going to be able to start to build your own stacks of upsells right inside the product admin on the platform. You're going to be able to go in there and say, I want the warranty on this product. I want the gift wrap on this product. I want the teddy bear on this product, or whatever the upsells are. You're going to be able to turn them all off or turn them all on based on kind of what you think is going to work best for your product. And it's going to really, really allow you to start to kind of stack your AOVs. It's going to allow you to stack these upsells and get higher AOVs. Again, we want 3-digit AOVs to be the norm. We kind of want that to be the norm around here. So we're trying to find unique and high converting ways that you can do that. So keep your eyes peeled. This is going to be coming to this month. So it's going to be really cool. To start with, you're going to be able to turn, I think we have 5 upsells. You're going to be able to turn them on or off as you see fit. You're also going to be able to choose whether or not you want this above or below the add to cart button. So you're going to be able to control all of that. I will tell you that we're going to be doing our own conversion rate optimization tests in the background. And as we find what works super well, we're going to be pushing that to you to give you the best possible chance of success. So we're super, super freaking excited about this. All right. We're almost about to hit $100 million in revenue. If you go to ShineOn.com, you can actually see the little ticker. We're probably going to hit it tomorrow, I would imagine. $100 million in revenue. Keep your eyes peeled because either over this weekend or early next week, there's going to be a post in the Facebook group. And you're going to have a chance to win some pretty cool swag. If you're paying attention and you're Johnny on the spot and you're quick and your reflexes are cat-like, you might have a chance to get some really cool swag that we've been working on all week to celebrate hitting $100 million in revenue, which we never could have done without you. So thank you very much. We owe you a lot of gratitude. And this has been fun building all this together. Okay, man, how many more of these do I have left? Good grief. We're working our fingers to the bone for you guys. I think somebody muted me.
Wasn't me.
Nope.
I didn't do it.
Optimization. So we tried a new landing page, new style of landing page. That's this guy over here on the left. You're seeing kind of a GIF of what it looks like. This resulted in a 25% uplift in conversions, right? It's going to take us a little while to roll this out to all the different product templates that we have, but we are going to be pushing this out in Q4. Again, a 25% uplift in conversions. There has never been a better time to be on our platform. You don't have to have a store. All you need is a custom domain. You don't have to do any of the CRO. You don't have to do any of the branding. You don't have to do any of the customer support. Like, we are literally handing you a business in a box, right? And we are proving that it performs super well. So this resulted in a 25% uplift in conversions across our entire product line. Imagine if you have a winning product that's already converting somewhere between the 6 to 10% range, and you add 25% on top of it. That is a major, major game changer. That is going to result in a massive increase in ROAS. Next up, we increased the take rate. I think this was Jim's idea. We increased the take rate from 2% to 10% on our warranties. So we added some text here, added some more description to it to kind of raise the perceived value of the warranty, we increase the take rate from 2% to 10%. So if you're selling on the platform and you have a product that can have the warranty, you need to make sure you go and you add the warranty to it. It's going to increase your AOVs. All right. Woo. Okay, the best way to stay caught up with all the stuff we're bringing you is to basically click announcements up here at the top of the group. Basically, any big announcement is going to be marked as an announcement in the group, and you should be able to find it right here. You should just be able to scroll down from the top and kind of see all the juicy, spicy, amazing things that we're working on for you. So I hope you're excited. Hope your minds are blown, and I hope you're ready for some product teardowns. So let me get these slides out of the way. Holy crap. All right. While I pull up the rest of these, dude, I am curious. Out of all the stuff we have coming down the pike, what are you guys most excited for?
Don't all go at once.
Put you on the spot.
I am going to go with metal art. I think that's a fantastic Q4. I think it's an evergreen product, but I think in Q4 things just kind of blow up. So I'm excited to dive into that.
I think metal art's going to explode.
I think the leather products is a great addition. It opens it up to the whole, even more men that we can target and get gifts for them. So I'm excited about those.
Kirsten, do you have one?
I think all of the products are good because you can use them in your cross-sell and upsell and post-purchase. Like you can maximize your AOV. So you're not going to have to worry about competing against the next advertiser because you've got so many products you can bundle together or cross-sell, right? So, but yeah, I'm most excited about the coaching that we have in the pipeline because...
Dude, I was just about to say, I'm going to cheat big time because I have like 4. So
what?
I'm super freaking excited about the name necklaces. They're not coming in October. Unfortunately, it's a more complicated product, so the timelines are a little bit delayed on that one. The name necklaces against the message cards, I think, are going to be they're going to be massive. They'll shake the entire industry. I really love the new page that we just made for the platform. It totally changes the look and the feel of things. It's going to be fresh for people. It makes it more contemporary. It raised conversions. Super excited for that. Let's see. What was the other one? I don't remember the third one. It'll come to me. And coaching is another one. So Kirsta has been working his tail off on getting our whole coaching system and our setup going. And he's got some people kind of in it already that are early birds to the coaching program. Kirsta's been creating a ton of content, and we're super excited to get that up and live for everybody. The coaching should launch, I think, within the next week or two. There's a few things kind of delaying it. We got to finish up a landing page. I know Kirsta's been wrapping up some of the content on that, but we're super excited to bring that to you. And it's going to be a true coaching program. I mean, we have courses already that we bring you. This is going to be coaching where you're going to have actual content to consume that gets updated semi-regularly. We're going to have calls with everybody. We're going to have Slack channels with people. So we're super excited about that. You want to share any other details about it, Kirsta?
I think you've pretty much summed it up. I think that it'll add a lot of value and it'll help people get towards their milestone. So the whole purpose of creating something like that is sometimes people need additional help, and also the other huge advantage is the peers, like the people that you'll communicate and network with inside the coaching will help exponentially because kind of like what you're saying with the 100 people are going into the buddy system, same sort of deal. It's good to bounce off people that are going through the same things as yourself, so you can optimize your mindset so you keep positive and you don't move. Like we did a whole mindset thing last week, but yeah, I think that's key. Like having
I totally agree with that, man. Like when I first got into print on demand, I had a friend that was also into it with me, and like we were sharing ideas and all this stuff. And it was actually funny because the first big winner I hit, like he and I wouldn't share our designs. We just share tips and tricks and scaling methods. what was funny was the first big winner I hit, I found out like 6 months after the selling season, after it had like died out, he was actually selling the same phrase I was. We both latched onto the same phrase, just coincidentally. That was always, we just thought that was pretty cool. So I think my third thing, now that I've had a minute, was Etsy. I'm super excited for this Etsy integration. I know we've got a ton of hunger in the community to get on Etsy. I think Etsy is going to explode for us moving into Q4, especially as buyers start heading to that platform in droves to pick up early holiday gifts. So we're really excited about that. All right, let's get to some teardowns, shall we? If you guys are excited for the product teardowns, let's get some.
You're muted again.
Some construction emojis in the chat. What's that?
You were muted for a second again. Now you're back.
Well,
yeah, maybe it's a loose wire.
What did I say? What do I need to repeat?
Nothing. It cut out like 2 words, and then I said, "Hey, you're muted again," and then it came back. So you're welcome.
Well, whatever. All right, so drop. Let's get some construction emojis in the chat if you're excited for the teardown. I'm gonna get the screen back up here. Are you guys in Miro?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Bear with us. First time we've ever done it this way. All right. Here we go. Give me just a minute. We'll get this first one kind of in view. Where are my construction emojis? We're going to need more than this. We got some blocks. Those must be like concrete barriers from John. Creative. Very creative. We've got some hazard signs, caution signs. I don't know what those are. Sorry,
Road
Jim.
work signs.
Construction workers.
Is that a factory?
I think people had to do a deep dive to find those emoji. A little bit of a
I
delay.
was thinking like hammers, saws. I don't know. You telling me
Sophie's
those
got
aren't
it.
in the little emoji encyclopedia?
Sophie.
There we go. We
Sophie's
got
got
some
your
people with some
hammer.
hard hats.
Yeah.
I think Mauricio wins the emoji game this time. We got a hand and a pencil, another guy in a hard hat. Oh, Sophie is a close second. I don't know. She might actually get first. There's more diversity in her.
Dynamite. I like that one.
She's got like bricks. Oh, yeah. Where's the dynamite?
Gary.
Yeah. Gary gets a third for creativity. All right. Let's go here. So the first one is this guy. So this was submitted by Hassan Azim, something like that. Sorry, buddy. Says, to my smoking hot Khaleesi, I didn't fall in love with you because I was lonely or lost. I fell in love with you because after getting to know you, I realized that I wanted to make you a permanent part of my world because you are fire and I've been cold my whole life. Your call? Something like that. So, Kirsta, looks like you're already going to town here. Why don't you start?
I jumped the gun. So, I tried
Cheater.
something similar like this before last year in Q3. So my main concern is this is niching down way too much. So you kind of want to broaden out a little bit if you're going to do this sort of style, fans of Game of Thrones, for example. So Khaleesi, like I think the design which I had traction with, like said Queen instead. So that kind of broadens out the niche. So you're like really specific to Game of Thrones if you go for like something like Khaleesi. So you can go smoking hot queen or to my queen, for example, for the message card. And again, with the from your Carl, you can put your husband or something like that. So that will open it up to a lot more buyers potentially, like just by taking a step back. And some other things here is the background, the texture. I think it makes the text a little bit harder to read. Probably simplifying the designs and the font a little bit as well. So it's,
Hey, Kirsta.
Yeah.
We're getting comments that they're struggling to hear you.
All right. Let me look into it.
I'll pick up. Can you all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to piggyback off of what Kirsten was saying, I totally agree with where he's coming from. These micro niche down or super trendy type of things work well when they're on trend. Game of Thrones wrapped, what was that, 2 or 3 years ago now? So, and then Khaleesi Call, that was even before that. That was like totally over with season 1, season 2. So now, if this was an on-trend thing like that, the Khaleesi Call relationship was super hot and super on point. You know, if you were trying to market this during that actual event or that time frame, you could sell some of these. Now, what we're seeing on Facebook ads in a general sense is the more broad-based that you make your message, the better it's going to perform, especially since Facebook is, and I know it's not on every ad account now, but Facebook is forcibly removing the little checkbox for detailed expansion for audience. So in the near future, no one's going to be able to really narrow their audiences beyond just from a demographic level. So even if you pick Game of Thrones as your interest target, it's still going to be the same size as that demographic is. So if it's 40-year-old men and up, it's still going to be 51 million people. So interests are still very important because you're telling Facebook where you want to start. You know, I want to start marketing to people who like this, and then they are going to go off on their own and figure it out. So the more broad-based interests or the most broad-based phrases are going to find more success.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah. Can we hear me properly
Yes, we
now?
can.
Or?
Yeah,
Awesome.
that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
better.
One other thing I'll probably recommend is for pictures here. I don't really like having too many, and I probably would go with this one before this one because it kind of shows, and I probably set this one as the default image as well because it shows the mahogany box in all its glory. The other one doesn't really do it justice. It's like half a box.
And
That's
cuts out
just-
the LED.
Yep.
So, a couple things that kind of stood out to me. First of all, I do think we've got kind of a niche product fit, right? I do think Love Knot would work well in kind of this romantic niche. Love Knot's also one of our top sellers. So I think we were good there. Let me ask you, how do you think this individual did emphasizing the phrase over the design?
Well, it's harder to read, so
Yeah.
I think if
I
you,
think
you
that
could go ahead, Kirsten.
I think the focus has been more on the niche than the message itself. So, when I was approaching this, I was actually like going and googling like the actual the lines from the scenes to get idea of how they spoke and try to re-emphasize in that phrase. So, but I also tried to keep it broad enough so that more people can appeal to it. So I combined the niche and also like the broad phrase as well. So I used the phrase which was popular and I merged it into a something that I found from the scene. So I combined the two. Whereas this is very specific to the niche.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
when you
mean,
do
so
something like this, you do run the risk of getting flagged for copyright infringement. Now, there's nothing direct here that, you know, I don't know if HBO or whoever the showrunners were trademarked the word Khaleesi or call. You know, I know that's from like the Dothraki tribe and all that stuff. So that's very show specific and book specific. But when you're doing something like this, you would want to do some research on seeing, is any of this stuff trademarked? Now, the phrase itself is not. I totally agree with Kirsta on it. Really, the only thing that references anything about Khaleesi in that is because you are fire, and I've been cold my whole life, and she is the quote unquote mother of dragons, right? So, and she's impervious to fire. So that's really the only connection that the phrase has with the niche they're targeting.
Yeah, and reading this, and I'm not really that familiar with the show. I was looking at the phrase itself, and it sounded pretty general to me. Even the, you know, you're fire and I'm cold, you know, could be just a nice play on words. So, you know, something to consider there is that sometimes you can take one certain phrase and then niche it by doing something similar to this, where you are just applying it to different types of niches, to my golfing wife, to my smoking hot running wife. It could be anything like that even, and you can test it with the same phrase, or if you have a winning phrase, try it in something else.
So I will tell you that from my perspective, I actually don't know that I think this individual did too terribly bad here. As just a test. Keep in mind, we're not married to this. We test it. Yeah. It works. It works. It doesn't. It doesn't. I do agree. I think the niche is probably outdated. The other thing you got to remember is, like, I'm not sure you have diehard Game of Thrones fans, especially after like the last season was botched, like you have diehard Star Wars fans, or like some other shows like The Office or Seinfeld, for example. Like, you've got some fans that they'll buy Office and Seinfeld memorabilia till the end of time, right? So I think maybe we have an issue with the niche, but I do kind of feel like the phrase, you might take issue a little bit with some of the design choice here, but I don't know. To me, it doesn't really, I'm fine with this. It seems simple enough to me. Most of the focus is on the phrase. It does seem like the phrase is more sentimental or emotional in nature, whether or not it has the intended effect. You can tell they've seen some of our videos in the past, and that's kind of what they were going with. It kind of follows that greeting card format that we've talked about, where it's kind of like it says to whoever the thing is going to. Now, is it legible, like kind of on a smaller device, like a mobile device? I'd almost have to test it on my iPhone. I do think that this is kind of condensed here and might be a little bit of trouble, but for the most part, I feel like, this whole thing is headed kind of the right direction here. The other thing is, I feel like you could template out this design pretty easily, where you could just keep swapping out phrases and who it's to until you found a winner. So in my mind, I actually look at this whole thing and I would rate it like a B or maybe a B minus. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think overall it does a lot of what we talk about when we're trying to direct people on how to do it. The only other thing I'd say too is I noticed that it is italicized, the phrase. Not that can't work, but I think even if you just did a regular on this one, it would already be easier to read. And I want to say to people too, if you ever think, oh, well, I don't know if it's clear enough, or if you question it at all, then I would say go ahead and try to adjust it. Even if you just did something a little darker behind the phrase, like just a little bit more black or something. Maybe you'd put a little bit of drop shadow or something like that, just to be safe, because the phrase is just a little bit lost in the background.
Yeah, I shared an example. I don't know if we want to share it or not, of what I did for my message card. But it's fairly simple. I just did like a backdrop, and I did like the phrase, like I paraphrased the like actual speak from there. I sold 15, but I couldn't scale it. I think it's just because the trend wasn't too hot at the time. So yeah, if you want a comparison of how I would do it, that's how I would approach it.
Is this from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, it's not word for word. I use this the terminology from there, and the "I love you forever always" is like common. Common.
How did this do for you, Kirsta?
I sold 15, and I tried to scale it. I think it didn't scale because it's just not a hot niche. Like Vikings is one which is much hotter that you can.
Yeah, there you go.
There's new seasons coming out every single I think year, right? So you've got every time a new season comes out, you got that opportunity to hit it when it's like trending, right? So I think it's just it's had its time, and I mean it's worth a try. Like, you never know, like things come into popularity all the time.
So hey, let's keep going here. We've got I think I found shortlisted like 7 of them at random. Let's see if we can get through all of them. We'll have to kind of pick up the pace here a little bit, though. Let's go to the next one. This is Deborah. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right. So
do you want to kind of round robin these, Michael, as far as like, so Kirsta led on the first design, and then Zappy could lead this design, and I could lead the next design, and you could lead the next design?
Yep, no worries.
Does that work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna read it though.
Okay,
That's
go.
fine.
And then Zappy, take her away after that. So to my sweet daughter, so it's Merry Christmas themed. It kind of looks like, believe in the magic of the season and may all your dreams come true. Love, Mom.
Yeah. So one of the first things for me looking at it is it's hard to read again. And if people aren't able to read the phrase again, if they're looking at their mobile device and they aren't able to see it, they're struggling. People, we're all kind of lazy at the end of the day. We want to be able just to see and understand what a thing is without having to think too hard about it. So the To My Sweet Daughter at the top is almost lost in the background. So first of all, make that, a lot larger, as large as you can. Sometimes you can run it so that it even goes under the necklace, depending on what it is. But usually we try to keep it, right in that triangle area. But make that larger, bolder, a little bit darker at least, so that you can see right away this is to your daughter. And at the bottom, really the same thing too. It's a little bit lost. You got a little more contrast with the white background. You can probably, what you can end up doing there is probably enlarge the phrase itself, sort of collapse the lines a little bit. I'd probably still make the text darker on that one too. And the Love Mom is real close to the very bottom of it. And I know that's how they rendered it, but I usually like to at least give a little bit of space from the bottom of the box, just so it's not looking like it's fallen off there. So those would be some of my immediate reactions, just visually.
What else?
For me, it's similar to the last one, is product market fit. If this is a Christmas gift and you're using a giraffe as the necklace, then there's no other references to stand tall or to a giraffe or anything. It really is incongruent, right? Like it's sort of subconsciously makes you disconnect from the product, because realistically, I think, what does a giraffe have to do with what this is selling? So it's a cute Christmas background. And we have other products like the Love Knot that you could sort of look at, similar shape to like a snowflake, and then tie that in. And I guess my point is when you are choosing which necklace to use on which background design, if you need to put some effort into trying to tie all of that in together so it makes sense. So if you want to sell the giraffe necklace, great. But instead of a snowman with a scarf, put a giraffe with a scarf there, because then at least there's some congruency with the necklace and the design.
That'd be really cute if you could find a giraffe, snow giraffe or whatever.
Right. So I mean, it's even if you can't find it pre-made or something, you could download the icon of a giraffe and then a scarf, and you just put the two together, or hire someone on Fiverr to do it as well. So that's a way, if you're like committed to, I really want to sell the giraffe necklace, tie the design to the giraffe, either with the phrase or the background design or something along those lines, or switch out the necklace to something else.
Yeah, I will tell you that from where I'm standing, to me, this whole thing just feels so busy. Like I have no idea where to look when I see it. It's like, am I supposed to look here? Am I supposed to look over here at this red that's kind of contrasty against the background? Am I supposed to be looking at this guy here? I'm definitely 100% not supposed to be looking at the text because it's so freaking tiny. Like the text here just completely fades into the background from my perspective. And that's going to be an issue that definitely needs resolved, because as we've said a number of times, it's the phrase that pays. It's the phrase that sells. You have to move people emotionally if you want them to buy. The little cute snowmen and stuff like that are not what's going to make somebody buy this, right? It's got to come with that emotional kind of hit. Now, if you can, like what Jim said, is amplify your phrase with the appropriate design choices and product choices, that's fine. Do that. This can all work together. But there is this whole thing is fighting against itself in my mind. Kirsta, what do you think?
So I would point at the phrase. Like I think the phrase needs to hit the buyer emotionally, right? So that's the key thing which we're looking for with a message card, whether it's make them laugh, make them cry, make them happy, whatever emotion you're trying to hone in for the buyer. I don't think the phrase has that substance to it. So Well, I'd probably start with this as the beginning of the phrase and then potentially match it with something like the stronger, braver, smarter part after that, or something else that has the
Yeah,
substance, because
stacks and
that the phrase is the most important part of the message card, which sells the product. So I think that probably would be my focus for this message card.
if anybody's tuning into this for kind of the first time, I'd highly recommend you try to go back through some of my other product teardowns, look at some previous Coffee with Michaels, look at some of the guides that Jim has put out, because there's a whole way you want to approach selling this. And I see that, I said the phrase that pays, and somebody's asked a question in the comments about the phrase that pays. All it means is it's the phrase. You have to move people emotionally to get them to buy. And it's usually the phrase that does that. There's something sentimental, something emotional. The phrase strikes a nerve with somebody. That's what makes them buy. All this other stuff should just amplify and support that phrase. Seriously, that's the entire goal of all the other stuff. So you want to make sure that that phrase stands out and it really impacts people. We're going to have some tips here when we get done with the teardowns. We're going to be able to talk more about kind of what you should try to do when you're making these. All right, let's move to the next one. I'm going to read it, and then Kirsta, I think you're up. Why does that keep happening?
I'm up.
All right. Get over to the next one. All right, so to my smoking hot babe, something small just because I love you and know I didn't do anything wrong. Kirsta.
So
I think
wait,
it's Jim.
sorry.
Jim.
It's Jim's turn.
I don't
My
want to take
bad,
his
dude.
number.
It's
I mean,
Jim's
that's
turn.
fine.
We heard
I don't
enough
know.
from
I'll
Jim
just sit
already.
back here drinking my coffee. All right. So good things first. I love the contrast. I love how bright and vibrant the ring of fire is. From design element, leave the black, leave the white text. I would actually see if I could make the ring of fire a little bit smaller so that it really just tightly covers just the love knot. Okay, at least on the render, right? So that's from a design point of view. To my smoking hot babe makes sense. I would move leave that small and move it up a little bit and to the right. I would make smoking hot babe larger and probably put smoking and then hot babe underneath it. And if I really wanted to get fancy with the design, I would add some little smoke coming off of smoking because that'll tie into the ring of fire. Now the phrase, something small just because I love you and know I didn't do anything wrong, is a funny phrase. It might work okay in like an evergreen sort of time period of the year, and it's not so much that this is a bad phrase to sell during this time, but you're also missing out on the giant like grizzly bear that is Q4 buying season, right? Like people are buying for a holiday gift for someone. So it's not something small just because I love you. It's Christmas time. It's holiday season. So there is a reason why they would be buying that. So I would use this design, but I would change up the phrase to something to tie into the season, or again, like we've talked about, to move that person emotionally, where I think this phrase is cute, but there is no, like, it does not move me personally emotionally. I could not see giving my wife this particular thing, just saying, just because I love you and no, I didn't do anything wrong. I could almost see that on a t-shirt or a mug, but not necessarily as a Christmas gift.
I totally agree that the phrase, in my mind, lacks emotional impact. Like, it's just, this is not going to look. A husband that's scrolling through the newsfeed might see this and kind of like get a little chuckle to himself. I don't know that he's going to be moved to buy this. If you're going to go with humor, and humor is a valid way to try to move somebody emotionally, that's fine, but it needs to be something that's like really funny and like, or borderline shocking. Ronnie McKenzie last year had a design that, look, it was the first time I'd ever seen somebody use humor with the message card, Jory, and actually make it pop off and work really well. And his design had, I won't be graphic here, but it had two animals in certain positions enjoying themselves, right? And it was a phrase like that a husband was giving to his wife, and there was a lot of humor kind of baked into it if you're into that kind of humor. But it was a little bit shocking, off-putting. You hadn't quite seen it before, like that's kind of what you need, I think, or what you should be going for if you're going to use humor to try to move the phrase, to try to move this product here. I feel like from another design element here, I would like to see this a little bit larger. Like it's kind of tiny to me. You've got a lot of space up here. I think you could have used, especially if the ring of fire ends up kind of getting smaller, as Jim said. I really like Jim's suggestion of maybe adding some smoke to this to kind of play off the whole fire kind of theme you have going on there. Another thing is if you get this guy down smaller, so it's like more like this, you suddenly open up a lot more room to experiment with a phrase. I do think that this could be a good working template, though, where you could try 5, 10, 15 phrases with this design until you find a phrase that pops. That's what I think about it. Kirsta, what do you think?
I agree with all of the above. I don't have anything else to add. You guys have covered it.
Zappy, did we miss anything?
Yeah, no, the only other thing I was going to add is that we're not saying that, hopefully you caught Michael's point there, is that you can use funny phrases or things that are very humorous. It doesn't have to just be stuff that goes on mugs and shirts, but it just has to be executed in the right way, with the whole Ronnie example. Same way with this. I think maybe if it was rewritten and just had even more emotional, funny impact, I think that this probably could work. But otherwise, a lot of times we are looking for more sentimental, heartfelt messages.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you on that. All right, let's go to the next one. And so this one's my turn.
You. That's your turn.
Not sure what I'd do without you guys. Probably be doing all of them.
Us either.
All right. To my daughter, you don't need to hold my fingers anymore to walk. However, I still miss your fingers as I cross the street. You don't need bedtime stories anymore to fall asleep. However, I still enjoy making up ridiculous stories to make you laugh. And today I want you to know, no matter what, you will always be my little girl. So design-wise, this feels to me, I'd almost like to see it without that. With like maybe just the flowers or vice versa, right? Where like you maybe only have this with some other decals. For some reason, the flowers and then like the little cartoon image of the father and the dad, it's not quite working for me. It feels thematically, they just don't feel like they quite go together in my mind. I'm curious to hear what others think about that when it's your turn. When it's your turn. All right. The next thing is I do think the Forever Love can probably work on this. I think Interlocking Hearts may have been better. We have some other pieces that might work better for like the parent-daughter niche. Interlocking Hearts is an absolute killer in that particular niche, but it's also kind of been around the block. So we have Infinity. I think it's Infinity Hearts. We have Double Hearts that might kind of work, even though that one starts to get a little more romantic. There's some other stuff you could have done here, though, in terms of the product niche fit, I think. But Forever Love could potentially work, but we typically see this take off more in the romantic niches. Now, when it comes to the actual phrase itself, I do think, look, you're going for the sentimental and the heartfelt stuff. The thing I'm kind of struggling with is I can't figure out if this phrase really has a punchline. Like it seems like it's 2 or 3 sentences all stacked on top of each other. All of them are a little bit emotional, but it doesn't feel like the phrase takes me anywhere. Like it doesn't land anywhere in particular when I read it. So I'm going to do it one more time. You don't need to hold my fingers anymore to walk. However, I still miss your fingers as I cross the street. You don't need bedtime stories anymore to fall asleep. However, I still enjoy making up ridiculous stories to make you laugh. Today, I want you to know, no matter what, you'll always be my little girl. Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe it does kind of drive towards a punchline. It doesn't entirely deliver for me. What I would seriously do if I was going to try to work with this, I'd take this phrase, drop it into like Notepad, and see if there were a way I can make it a little punchier. Like try to kind of get some of these excess words out of here and make this thing a little bit punchier and maybe even give it some rhythm. One of the best-selling parent-to-daughter niches phrases we've ever seen is that one where it's like the stronger, braver, smarter one. Like you're smarter than you think, braver than you know, and smarter than you'll believe. It's something like that, but it's a little bit punchy. It's got like kind of a rhythm to it, and kind of the way it reads it's the phrase itself reads for emotional impact. I feel like this one might be due to like the excess word count. I'm not really sure, but I feel like you have opportunity with the phrase. Like there's some golden nuggets here, but you need to kind of trim this up a little bit. From my perspective, you follow the greeting card format, which I would say is good. I don't know that this would be legible on a mobile device. The phrase itself is just really tiny. But if you changed like kind of some of these design elements around, you might be able to make more room for it. In terms of template, I don't know that this is a great template, specifically because just for me anyway, that and that clashes. I don't know what it is, but those are just not working for me. All right, that's my feedback. I see Kirsta put up here. Here's the phrase I was referring to. Always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and love more than you know. It drives to a punchline. It reads really well. It's not quite a poem, but there's a rhythm to the words and kind of the way it flows out of your mouth. This is probably the best-selling daughter phrase I think we've seen at ShineOn. It's been around the block, so you're going to have to do something original to it if you want to use it. But
I have
Kirsta,
versions of that in my kids' rooms.
Jim's got versions of this in his daughter's rooms.
Well, I've got one in my daughter and one in my son's room, and one in our baby's room. So
So Jim is part of what's made this a bestseller.
Yes. Parents like me keep this phrase alive.
All right, Kirsta.
So I would probably start with like pretty much like this example, like just solid color and then the phrase being really legible. I don't mind like the gold and the black sort of theme, but normally what I like to do is I like to test just the phrase itself first, because when you have so many design elements, it can you don't know whether it's the design element or whether it's the phrase or whether it's the jewelry piece. You've got so many variables. Whereas if you break it down to the simplistic phrase and like just the background, you can test it. And then if you have success with it, you can add more elements and see if that increases or decreases the response from the buyers. So if you start with so many elements, it can be hard to diagnose whether it's targeting, whether it's the phrase. Just so many more variables if you just stick to a simple design to begin with, and then you can test these variations. So maybe the first variation will be the phrase and the dark background. The second variation you can introduce the flowers, and then the third variation you can test the dad and daughter graphic as well. So you can test the different variations. But what I like to do is I like to go for like with my cold targeting for just like the simple design. So something like I showed in the example. And then in your retargeting, you can show them these other designs, which are more graphic or more because you'll find that some buyers really do like this. But if you want to appeal to the majority, I think that it's better to stick to the simpler design with less amount of elements on the design.
I dig. Zappy?
Yeah, I was literally just trying to, I don't know if you can see this.
Oh.
I'm not going to say that this is a winning phrase by any means, because you don't ever know until you test, but I was just sort of playing with the phrase itself, because I think it might be beneficial for some people to see, okay, what might a revised version of this look like? So maybe I'm not saying this is great, but you don't need my fingers to safely cross the street anymore, but I can still feel your little hand grasping me tightly. You don't need my bedtime stories, but memories of cuddling you to sleep will warm my heart forever. No matter how old you get, you'll always be my baby girl. I love you, Dad. So I sort of just took elements of what they had there and sort of just tried to tug a little more at the motion to see if, maybe this might be a little tighter phrase. I don't know, but that would be something you can do to take an existing phrase.
Dude, for doing that inside of like 5 minutes or whatever you had, I actually think you did a pretty good job. But that is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, let's just try to make it a little punchier and have more impact. Anyway, do you have anything else, Zappy?
Yeah. So again, things that some of you already touched on, but the design elements, I think if you're gonna do images of people, silhouettes often do work really well. That way, it opens it up to a little bit more, more demographics. But the phrase itself, again, just sort of hard to read, just because of sizing and everything. But yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah,
Okay.
what I see a lot is animals, or like some sort of animals instead of human beings, because that opens the demographics as well. So there's like elephants, there's like lions, there's like all sorts of animals that I've seen with a lot of these designs that work really well. So that could
Yeah.
be a switch in
I
there,
want to
which
see a
could
dolphin
open
design
it up.
take off.
Yeah, because keep in mind when people
The
see the
former
images
dolphin
on there,
trainer.
they're sort of picturing themselves in the imagery they see, so
Hmm.
they're seeing that dad and that daughter. And if, oh, well, my daughter doesn't have blonde hair, or, whatever,
Yeah.
I'm a different skin color. It's whether they're consciously
agree with
thinking that or not, that's sort of what goes into it. So that's why sometimes it's better to go almost more general with some of that sort of thing.
All right, you guys. Let's see. Jim, has Jim had a chance?
No, Zappy stole mine. I was going to rework the phrase, and then I saw him typing, and so then I was like, well, there goes that idea. Thanks,
Well, see, you should
Zappy.
have typed yours up, and then we could take a vote.
I don't know how to use Miro. I can navigate, but I don't know how to like do a text box and all this stuff. Anyways,
Okay, you got the next one.
I would echo a lot of what's said. For me personally, I would remove the caricature, the icon of the people. Another reason would be the fact that if you're presenting this to someone who's obviously like grown up and isn't a little girl anymore, why would you visually portray her as a little girl? Like, it seems like it's a dad and daughter either going to school or to a picnic or something like that, and maybe that's trying to show imagery of like the memory gone by. But I would just, I would remove that element completely. I've seen that the flower backgrounds tend to do better from like the granddaughter niche more so than the daughter niche.
Yeah.
Like grandparents love the little flowery things, so I would almost like remove those completely too. That opens up your space. You could then shift the phrase over to the left side as well, blow it up a little bit. The little doily, squirrely things next to Love Dad is fine. I don't see any issues there. I agree with Kirsta. The black with the gold lettering should work just fine there. And then removing some of the fragments of the phrases will allow the text to be larger, so it's easier to be read.
Yeah. By the way, I think you finally kind of hit the nail on the head with what I was trying to articulate earlier. Those flowers are just not going to resonate with a dad, like a father. Like, they're just not.
Right.
There's a mismatch there.
Anything you're like it's a weird combination when you try to go after like the wife niche or the daughter niche from dad. So it's like you have to stop a guy's newsfeed scroll, right, to sell that for a gift that's going to a woman. So you have to you have to entice the male brain to get them to stop. That's why the dark backgrounds with the bright text and very simple to read stops the guy's scroll. And then the phrase is like, oh, my daughter or my wife would really like this. And that's when they buy. And then the daughter loves it or the wife loves it because of the words in the phrase. They forgive the design because the design to me sells the guy or gets the guy to stop and click. And then the phrase makes the girl, cry or do the emotional response that the guy's hoping for.
Yeah, I'll just add something to that too, because I think that's a really important point, is that while the end recipient is the daughter in this case, we're still trying to sell to someone else. We have to sell to the buyer, and then they're all, so if it's maybe too flowery in some cases, you might not make that initial attraction and make that sale.
Yep, I totally agree. Let's move to the next one. Is this one Kirsta's?
Yes.
All right. So this was from Jules. So thanks for submitting this one, Jules. So I'm just going to read it, Kirsta, and then you can take it away. To my wife,
Sure.
When I say I love you more, I don't mean I love you more than you love me. I mean I love you more than the bad days ahead of us. I love you more than any fight we will ever have. I love you more than any obstacle that could try to come between us. I will love you always and forever. Love, your husband.
So First of all, like as you're reading the phrase out, all I'm hearing is "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you." It's like it's just repeating "I love you" so much. I don't know whether that will give the punch we need that we're looking for the buyers. And another thing with the design side of things here, uh, I think the text definitely needs to be a bit more bigger. Whether you bold it, whether you use the spacing a bit more, like using full left to right and get rid of the rows, that could potentially open up some space so you can get the font bigger, because the main thing you want to achieve is to get the buyers to be able to read the phrase. If they can't really read the phrase, that can hurt your conversion rate. And especially when you're showing these in the news feed, right? So you can imagine the demographic for the buyers that normally buy these products are generally 35, 40 and above, and you can say that for the most part, most people have trouble reading the smaller font as they get older. Like I know I'm definitely having a lot of trouble, like as I'm getting into my 30s, reading smaller font. So you can imagine people that are in the older demographic also having more trouble reading this. So I would definitely make this a lot larger. And yeah, I think sticking to a single palette, like maybe just like this light pastel blue and not having this fade, just so it's clearer. Or like I either go for like 2 shades off black or 2 shades off white. So like just really simple colors, because that'll hit the widest part of the audience. I think that this is somewhere in between, and it's like the color may not hit the widest part of the audience. I think that's all I can contribute for this one. Does anyone else have anything else?
Zappy, you want to go?
Oh, yeah. Mostly what he's already said, though. I think, it's just the contrast of the phrase. The phrase is so important, and it's very difficult to see. And you may also find that some of the mock-ups are going to lend themselves better for the ad itself, too. While this might be fine for product picture, let's say in the actual feed, if you're using it as the ad, having a more straight on shot sometimes works a little better. And so, angles can work, but the phrase still has to be able to be read easily. And in this case, it's tough. I think, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is the best way. I have different hunches on things, but even just the phrase itself, I don't mean I love you more than you love me. I mean, I love you more than the bad days ahead. I like to start out with more positive things. Like,
yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Any fight we'll ever have.
Any fight we'll ever have, any cheating that I'm going to do on you,
any obstacle.
You want to start with, I don't think a long list of the negative things that, well, I get the sentiment, but maybe at least start with a couple positive things if you're going to kind of go that route. But I think some consolidation could probably be done there too, like to Kirsten's point.
I think that's a good point.
All right.
Anything else, Zappy?
No. Jim?
What do you got, Jim?
All right. So I would limit the font choices. It almost looks like there's 4 separate fonts being used. Possibly the top one is the same, and then they just italicized wife, and possibly they just bolded and italicized the love your husband. But it almost looks like I'm back in like the 1990s from a font style, and it's like a typewriter style almost. So I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I think there's a reason why Hallmark makes every wife and daughter and thing like curly Q, like the very scripty written out. So I would, kind of fall in line with that. And then for the to my, the phrase, and the love your husband, I would choose the same font. It looks like the phrase and the love your husband is a sans serif, whereas the top is a serif font. So it's a little incongruent as well. I would lose the rose because it doesn't tie into the message or anything else. It's just like, here's a random picture of a rose. The rose can work. I'm not saying don't ever use a rose in the background, but if you're going to have a rose in the design, it needs to tie in either the rose itself and then the necklace piece, the pendant actually lays on the petals. So it's like a laying there, or if it's going to be off the side of that, it needs to tie in with the phrase so that there's a purpose for why the rose is there, in my opinion. I think I actually had a different reaction to what Zappy had, as far as I agree with him when you said make it positive at the front. I was more confused after the first 3 lines, because it's like, when I say I love you more, but I don't mean I love you more than you love me, I do mean this. And I'm like, so wait, you just had an argument with yourself while you're telling the person you love them. So that to me was a little confusing. It's like, why? Yeah, it's a little, it doesn't flow. So I don't necessarily mind a repetitive phrase if it's going to lead somewhere. So instead of saying, when I love you, I don't mean I mean, I would just say, I love you more than you love me. Or skip that one. I love you more than the bad days ahead of you. I love you more than any fight we will ever have. I love you more than any obstacle that could try to come between us. I will love you forever and always. That type of repetition sort of, it builds on itself, because I didn't get in the way in the first 3 lines. And that would just be something that I would test, as far as is a repetitive phrase something the market wants, or is it something where I just need to, not have that. But I could see that sort of cadence build on itself and have some success.
My biggest thing is this just looks cheap. Like the whole thing, like this fade here, this clip art rose, the 3 different fonts. I mean, like, you're pulling away from the perceived value of the actual necklace. It cheapens literally the entire thing. It looks like, and by the way, this is not to disparage whoever created this. I mean, you're on the right track, but it looks like this was almost made in like Microsoft Word, like with
that's what I was getting at. Like Word Perfect back in the day.
Yeah, it's like, so for me, it just, the whole design itself feels super cheap. What I would rather see, I actually think the fix for this is pretty freaking simple too. Pick one color on the background, ditch the rose, and pick one font. One color, one font, ditch the rose. And if like it really comes down to it, I would rather see you just have the greeting and then the phrase. I'm not kidding. I'd rather see that. That would be better than this, I think, because this other stuff cheapens it, and that's the last thing you want. All right, we've got 2 more. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to the next one. Let's try to do it 60 seconds apiece with each of us. Then I'm going to get to the last one. We're going to let everybody in the audience tell us what's wrong with the last one. Sound good to everybody?
Yep.
Who's up next? Is it Zappy this time?
Zappy's up next.
All right.
Oh, dang it. I want to go first on this one.
I'm going to read it real quick. I don't always listen to my wife, but when I do, things tend to work out better.
Zappy, you better not take my critique.
I don't know. This is so completely different from anything that we normally see and do.
60 seconds.
It's already rolling.
He's down to 40 now.
Oh, gosh. The pressure. So
30.
Here's the thing. I'm one that likes to test things like this. So I'm almost looking at this and going, okay, I think I would just sort of run with this and test it. If you could, maybe move the wife out from it, I think that could work. Obviously, this is a funny thing, which can work and sometimes does work. Maybe the text could be a little more solid. I know it's easy to read because it's enormous, but ultimately the phrase itself is not. It's not going to be appealing to the wife. It's only like something that the husband's going to look at and go, "Oh, that's funny," and then maybe he buys it, and his wife's going to hate it. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time with Jim.
I had to. You were past a minute.
You go
Okay,
ahead.
this is a T-shirt design that has sold thousands of them, right? Like at least tens of thousands on T-shirts over the years. This is a T-shirt design, right? And it's a T-shirt design designed for a guy to buy and a guy to wear. It has nothing to do with the wife. That's my opinion.
Who submitted this one? Is this a joke?
Sandy Hall.
No. Okay. Thank you for submitting this, Sandy.
Sandy,
All right.
we
You have any
love
other
you.
feedback, Jim?
Honestly, I would just start all over, because the difference between a T-shirt design and a message card design for jewelry is that it's that blend, right? Where you want to get the scroll to stop, who's a guy, but you're giving it to a girl, right? So it has to do double duty. This pulls a T-shirt design or a mug design for a guy, and the guy's like, look, I'm funny. But it has nothing to do with the wife, which is the point of the gift, right? So you have to make it all about the wife.
Yeah.
Oh, Kirsch is going to disagree.
Well, hey, it's my
Put
turn.
this on a dog tag and target
hey,
women.
Hey, this isn't nom, man. There are rules. We have to go in order.
Get in line, Kirsta.
So all I was gonna say was, yeah, I'd completely start over. I'm totally in agreement with Jim. This is not a gift. This is the biggest problem with this. This is not a gift. What a husband gonna buy this and then wear the message card or slap the message card on a mug and give the jewelry item to his wife? There's a complete dichotomy here between the message, which is for the guy, and then the gift, which is for his significant other. It doesn't follow the greeting card format. I don't know that it really moves you emotionally. I mean, I suppose you could say it's kind of sarcastic and could be kind of funny in that sense, but not in the way that's going to move a jewelry piece. Yeah, so there's my feedback.
Kirsten's got a good one, though, I think.
So, I don't know if you tuned in last week, but last week we were talking about marketing angles and flipping products. So Jim did mention in this week that this is a popular product and it sold a lot of T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just the angle here is wrong. Like you could test this on a dog tag or a keychain and it may work. So like taking a winning product and flipping and putting it on something else could work. But I think that just the angle here, like trying to target the man to buy for his wife when it's really for him. So maybe get her to buy this for him
That's what I was gonna say.
As a dog tag or a keychain, or maybe even like
Yeah. So you do a dog tag and you advertise it to women. So you advertise the wife, and the wife gets it as a funny gift for the husband.
For the husband, right? Yeah, I got to be able to redeem myself a little bit here.
Like, I love this one.
Well, I didn't look at it a lot, beforehand, but yes, this could work well as actually a wife buying it for husband on something like a dog tag. And you could see, I don't like to just completely dismiss it either, because I think that if you did reword it a little bit, you'd be like, I might not always listen to you, but when I do, life is so much better. I love you so much, your husband, or something like that. Yeah. Like, I think that you could almost, work with it a little bit and make it a funny but endearing kind of a thing. So that was kind of where my brain started going earlier. I just wasn't communicating it well.
No, I actually totally agree with Zappy. Look, there's a reason this sold really well on T-shirts, and there might be a way to spin it. There might be, but using it as is just it's not going to work.
All right, nobody take the design. I'm going to send it up on a dog tag and see if we can get it to work.
All right, so this next one is for the audience. So keep your thoughts to yourselves, folks in the audience. Where's it at? You tell us what's wrong with this one. I'm going to read it. You start dropping your comments. I'm going to pull the comments up on the screen, and we'll add some color commentary to the whole thing. And then we will what do we got to do after this? You got some Q&A? Oh, we're going to finish off with some tips, top 5 tips for making your message cards. All right, so to my amazing wife, there are moments in life that make it worth living. Finding you and falling in love with you was one of those moments. Love your husband. To my amazing wife, there are moments in life that make it worth living. Finding you and falling in love with you was one of those moments. Love your husband. I got to tell you that I pulled these randomly from all the submissions. If I were to compare these to the random sampling I did this time last year, they are leaps and bounds above where we were at last year. They're so far apart. Like last year, there were typos, misspellings, complete product market mismatches, like left, right, and center. The designs were a complete mess. On the whole, I'm really impressed. Like people are clearly watching the videos. They're clearly absorbing the content and the shots of espresso, and they're putting into practice the things that we're teaching. I am super, super freaking impressed. So everybody, you should give yourselves a pat on the back, especially you submitted one of these, because they're good. They really are. All right, let's get to some of the stuff here. I'm having to tilt my head to read. Some of that is just the mock-up that was chosen.
Remember, these aren't necessarily the ads that are being used to get the click. This is just the product shot of it.
Yes, that's a good point. Too much background design, maybe. A little busy with the hearts. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the hearts to me, it's that whole tying. If you're going to have a design, right, that we've talked a lot about a white design with black text or a black design with white text or something close to that. Being very simple. If you're going to have a design, but you're not going to have anything in your phrase about hearts, it disconnects you. To me, it disconnects the design card to the phrase, and the design elements on here take away, any design element takes away from the phrase, right? Yeah. So if it's not just here's text, read the text, and that's going to get the sale. If you add a design element and it doesn't tie in directly to what the phrase is saying, I don't think you should have design elements.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Mauricio says the phrase is missing something and the heart pattern is not working for me. Zappy, you're kind of the phrase guy here. What do you think?
I was trying to formulate that. I think that there needs to be more emotional impact there. I started thinking in my head, there are moments in life that make life worth living. Finding and falling in love with you became the most defining moment of my entire life.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's something like that. Like you don't want to just say, "Hey, you're one of the coolest. You're the top 10. You're definitely in the top 10 of the things I've done in my life.
That's
good job on you."
Sure.
Then you'll be buying one of those sorry message cards later.
Yeah, I don't always listen to my wife, but when I do,
you better hope the store gives you like a coupon to come back and buy another.
Yeah, it's like I've had a lot of defining moments, and you happen to be one of them. A more impactful one was my girlfriend from high school, but you were definitely top 10. Yeah, it starts feeling that way. So I think to really draw on, hey, you were, even if you can say the most defining moment of my life, something along those lines would be better already. But yeah, so every design element needs to really earn its keep on the card. So I agree with what Jim said too, that even if you did keep one or two of those other side hearts, probably would get rid of the rest of them so they're not a distraction.
You can even frame them, right? Like you could do. Sorry, I was gonna say if you really wanted to keep the little heart designs, you could frame. Oh, there I am. You could frame like "to my" and frame them with the heart. Son of a. Dodge and and then on the bottom where it says "love your husband," so you sort of you frame the "to my" or "amazing wife" and you frame "love your husband" and then cut out the rest of them if you want to do that.
So Kirsta, you've been quiet. You have any thoughts?
I'm not a big fan of the composition of the fonts. I think this kind of looks like the Valentine's Day card, right? It may suit well for a Valentine's period, but if you're looking to sell this right now, I think we need to rework the design. I think that this is like themed for Valentine's Day. I think that's potentially what we're going for here. If not, I would look at restructuring it for going back to simple elements. Just the "to my amazing wife" and the phrase, and ditch all the other elements
Yeah.
and keep it simple.
It's just a little too much with the red and the black and all the hearts. Yeah, I'm hearing you on that. Facebook user says remove the middle heart, let the jewelry and message say it all. I do think that like with the black background, the jewelry item itself will contrast really well with that on its own. Like the heart almost takes away from an opinion there, in my opinion.
Almost does cheapen it a little bit.
Yeah.
I like Gary's idea in the comments there.
I do too.
Where is
the 1228 one?
So that's it.
There you go. Yep.
The moment I fell in love with you was the one that mattered most.
So there are moments in life that make it worth living, but the moment I fell in love with you was the one that mattered most.
Notice something I want the audience to take away here is notice how much time we spend on the phrase. I mean, seriously, every single thing we've looked at, we have spent time on the phrase, trying to find ways to make it better, really analyzing how it doesn't hit. It's because, guys, I'm telling you, I'm not sure how many millions of dollars of revenue are represented just like in us up here on the screen here. Jim probably having most of that. But like it's the phrase that sells. It is 100%. And you can tell that like literally all of us are focused, laser focused almost on that phrase and making the phrase as impactful as possible. And even when we look at design and we start critiquing design, that critique is always in direct relation to how it impacts the phrase, whether or not it supports it, takes away from it, distracts from it, that kind of thing. So if you're a note taker out there, you need to make sure you're paying attention to this and you're focusing on the phrase. That is the number one thing you need to be focused on when you're coming up with your designs you want to test, whether it's on Facebook or putting them out on Etsy or Amazon or anywhere else. All right, let's see if there's anything else. If not, we'll move to our tips.
Well, can I summarize real quick?
Yeah.
I think that the summary that you guys should take away from this is going through all of these teardowns. We're basically saying remove all design elements to your card except for the phrase, unless there is a specific design element that ties perfectly into the phrase. That's what we've said on every one of these. It's either remove this design element, remove that design element, make this more flat, make this higher contrast, focus on the words on the phrase. And if you're going to add a design element, it has to tie into the phrase.
Yep. I totally agree with that. The phrase should be first, preeminent. It should be dominant. Every other decision you make related to the message card should be done in relation to how it's going to help that phrase either have more impact, stand out more, something like that. I completely agree with Jim here. All right. So look, we've got some top 5 kind of tips here for making your message cards. This is one that Kirsta did. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the tips, and then I think we'll go over to Kirsta's message card. We'll kind of talk about how it uses the tips. So tip number 1, phrase over design. This is something we hit on over and over and over again throughout this entire teardown. 2, you want to move people emotionally. That's the entire goal of the phrase. It can be any emotion, by the way. Yes, you can tap into like the sentimental ones and where you're kind of trying to make people cry. That's great in the husband to wife niche, the romantic niche, the parents to daughter niches. Those are great. But you can also make people laugh. You can shock people. You can make people laugh. You can make somebody angry. That'll do it. You can also make somebody sad and make them cry, like with a lot of the grief-related products that we have, like the memorial and the keepsake items. But the biggest thing is you need phrase over design. You got to move people emotionally with the phrase. Super, super important. Next, use the greeting card format. Almost every top-selling phrase I've ever seen, almost every single one, uses the greeting card format. So it at least opens up with who the phrase is to. So to my wife, to my daughter, to my smoking hot wife, to my bonus mom, whatever it is, like you need to kind of put that in there front and center so people know who the gift is for. And you can close it off with a salutation at the end, like love your husband, if it's appropriate and if you think it's going to help with your sales. Tip number 4, it needs to be legible on a mobile device. Keep in mind that it's like 90-95% of your traffic is on one of these guys right here anyway. You need to make sure that the phrase is going to be legible on that mobile device without them having to like pinch and zoom in and whatever else. And then finally, test with templates. So this is one that a lot of people miss, and it really will slow you down. If you think every time you get a phrase, you got to bake up a new design before you can go do a test, you're going to move super, super slow. What you should do is think about design templates. Make a template and then add that you can add multiple phrases to. So you can test 5, 10, 15, 20 phrases on a single template. A trick, though, a key to kind of making that work is the template's got to be simple, right? If the template is too complex, the phrases aren't always going to jive with it, right? The template needs to be simple enough and diverse enough that you can put a ton of different phrases on it. All right, so let's jump over here. I'm just going to read this, and then Kirsta, you can tell us maybe how you've incorporated some of these tips into it. Mm-hmm. So, to my wife, it's been said that you only truly fall in love once, but I don't believe it. Every time I see you, I fall in love all over again. If you could see yourself through my eyes, only then would you realize how special you are to me. I love you forever and always. Love, your husband.
All right. So this template, message card template, has been proven to do well over 7 figures. So this just shows you that you don't need to have fantastic design elements and all the rest of the busyness going on. What you see here is I've put all of my emphasis in trying to work on the phrase. So the first part of the phrase tries to engage the buyer and get their attention. So it's been said that you only truly fall in love once. So this is kind of like a question, but it's more like a hook to get them going. And then I've combined it with a phrase which has already been proven and sells quite well. So this, if you could see someone, if you could see yourself through my eyes, only then would you realize how special you are to me. And this works in pretty much all of the niches. It works in dad to daughter. It works from husband to wife to girlfriend. It works in all of the niches. So I've basically taken what's proven and added a hook to it, so it sinks into the buyers, and then finally I just close it off with something sentimental, that I love you forever and always, and then it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I dig.
You don't need to overdo it.
Well, also, like, you have 2 fonts, right? You didn't get more complex than that. You emphasize kind of who it's to, who it's from. This is super simple. I love how you bolded kind of the important elements of the phrase where like your punchlines are. And you whip this up. I mean, anybody could build this in freaking Canva. It took literally no, this is not to, no offense. This took no design skill to do, but what it does display is an incredible like knowledge and expertise and what moves this kind of jewelry. You understood your market, you understood your niche, you knew what was going to move them, not only in the phrase, but in the design, and so on and so forth. Plus, the other thing I like about this is, even though this is simple, it's super clean and sharp, and like it supports the perceived value of the jewelry, right? Like there's nothing in here that detracts from that. Like it feels solid to me in a lot of ways. Anyway, Zappy Jim, you guys have any thoughts on this? If not, we'll move to.
We've heard the phrase "less is more," and this is a perfect example of that. So I just want to emphasize too again that 2 different typefaces, 2 different fonts is often enough. Maybe something more script, like with the wife at the top, but the core phrase is a regular font or regular and bold. It's not italicized. It's easy to read. So that's sans serif. There's no serifs. There's no little squigglies in the phrase itself. So when I'm saying 2, maybe one that's a script font for the top, and then the rest can be, just a sans serif, straight, easy to read font. Don't go mixing a lot more than that, because it does start fighting itself, as you saw with some of the previous designs. And take the advice too of, if you have a few elements, if you just have one block of phrase like this, bold certain elements of it where it seems fitting, because it does just help guide the eye through it. That way it's not just one.
It breaks it
up.
Yeah,
breaks it up, makes it easier.
Not just a big wall of text.
Yeah. So it's subtle, but it can make a big difference. In some cases, you might even make those a different complementary color. But for this, blue and white, it works.
Jim, you got anything?
Yeah, a couple of things. So as far as the bolding sections, that's like old school long form copywriting tactics, right? So it's
Yep.
like back in the day when it was long form copywriting and not the VSLs where you could literally have one line on your PowerPoint or whatever it is. We had to use bolding, italics, and underline. Now, I'm not saying turn your phrases into old school copywriting letters. What I am saying is that's where it draws from, and that's just human psychology. Is our eyes are going to fall on the easier to read stuff. One of the other things that we haven't spoken about yet, but is something that as you're writing your phrases, you want to incorporate that Kirsta did here, is that he added a little bit of extra space in between each line. Okay. He didn't just, because if you're just typing the phrase out normally in Photoshop or Canva or whatever, it's going to go right underneath it, right? So you want to add a little bit of buffer space because it makes it easier to read. So that's it's just one other little thing that we haven't covered yet that I'm like, that's a
great catch, dude.
Yeah, there's one more thing that I also didn't say is that I've also got letter spacing in between the letters as well, so that makes them a bit easier to read as well.
Yeah, and it fills the space, right? So it's like, he's got the phrase, like if you just, go backwards, go out a little bit, zoom out and just look at the way the phrase sits on the card. It's symmetrical. It's not, it's not like we've got here and then it's real short and then real long and then it's not jarring. It's really symmetrical, really spread out nicely in a very subtle way, but makes it a lot easier to read on a user. So those are the big things that I would take away from this.
Yeah, it's so funny because I think this is probably the simplest design out of any of them we've seen so far too. I think I don't remember all of them. But it shows you that you don't overemphasize the design element piece of this. It's really all about the phrase, and you can, with text alone, do everything you need to do to make it appealing, usually to your niche and to your user base. So, all right, I think we have gone on long enough here. I think we're an hour and 45 minutes in. That's what my clock is showing us here. So I appreciate everybody for joining us today. If you got some value out of this, I'd appreciate if you dropped some comments in the chat. Make sure you like the post. Liking the post just kind of, I don't know, Facebook likes it, something with the algorithm, blah, 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 blah. Zuckerberg will think our group is really engaged and that people love us here and we're not plotting any things that we shouldn't be. So yeah, I'd appreciate that. So like the post, drop us some fun comments below. Let Kirsta, Zappy, and Jim know how much you appreciate them coming on. You get me every week, regardless. And sorry, I do got to do this. This is kind of a new thing. I forget about it. So whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, right? You want to start selling with ShineOn. It's your first time. You can go to ShineOn.com. You can make an account in 60 seconds. You'll get access to the best print-on-demand platform on the planet. What I think is actually the greatest entrepreneurial opportunity in the history of the world. That's no exaggeration. I really can't believe what we have access to in 2021. If you want to take advantage of that, ShineOn.com. Join our Facebook group. Go to bit.ly/go ShineOn to join our Facebook group. It's the most engaged e-commerce group on the planet, at least by the analytics that we were able to run. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/ShineOnPod. And you can follow us on Instagram at instagram.com/ShineOn. So appreciate everybody for joining. Thank you, shiny people. And until next time, happy selling. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.
Good to see you.
Hey, Michael here again. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. If you like the content, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And there's one more thing I want you to do. Check out the links in the description below. I want you to look at the link to ShineOn.com where you can sign up and become a seller with us today. It literally takes 60 seconds and it could change your life. Secondly, I want you to go to our Facebook group. It's the most engaged e-commerce group on the planet. We're constantly sharing important tips, tricks, and things like that that can help you on your seller journey and level up your e-commerce game. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.